Okay, I'm smoking a Rocky Patel sun-grown vintage cigar. I've got about halfway through, two-thirds of the way through, and the thought came to me that I did say I would make a YouTube video if I had some new thoughts. So it's not exactly new thoughts, it's putting things together. Is that all there is? It's a devastating argument against any account of existence. And this isn't about knowledge. It isn't about how we could possibly know why there is anything at all, or why there is I or my world. It's whatever account that we came up with. The response would be, is that it? Is that all there is? Is that all there is to reality? A family story, if you believe in God. Is that all there is? Superstrings getting knotted up. If you think physics has got the answer. Even Stephen Hawking, and I've said this before, Stephen Hawking says he doesn't understand why the universe bothers to exist. So he's got a theory. Which assumes the existence of laws. Where they come from, nobody knows. And I suppose you could, come up with some fantastical scenario that the universe keeps on trying to make something happen, and it keeps on coming up with different sets of laws, and eventually it comes up with the absolutely ideal, perfect set of laws that are capable of producing objects. An object such as, this desk or cigar or, combustion or whatever. All these things depend on an incredibly precise arrangement of laws. The strong and weak, nuclear forces, magnetism, gravity. They have to be just right for objects to exist at all. But given all that, why would there be those laws? Why would the universe keep trying to exist or producing different laws? In infinite time? But why is there such a thing as time? As even Stephen Hawking says, time only exists after the Big Bang. So, what are the options? There are two. It seems like there are just two options. As a matter of sheer, brute, contingent fact, there is something. There are laws. There are objects. And the alternative is somehow there's a necessity that there should be something. And necessity gives way to the ontological argument. If the universe is necessary, then there has to be some kind of necessary being who decides what universe to create, and that this universe is the best of all possible worlds. It's not enough that the necessary being creates some universe. There has to be a reason why I would be making a video today, why I'd be smoking this cigar rather than some other cigar, and every single contingent fact going back to the Big Bang. So that's fantastical, absurd. Both alternatives are absurd. I made this point way back in the first page of Naive Metaphysics. So, where do you go from there? And I have suggested in a previous video that you just have to reconcile yourself to the fact that there are certain things we cannot, certain questions that we cannot ever decide. Theory is no good. A theory is just a guess. We need something that yields something like certainty. There has to be an answer that isn't just a theory. I mean, Xenophanes, the pre-Socratic philosopher, pointed out that his predecessors had just come up with theories. Parmenides had a theory that wasn't a theory. It was that reality must be featureless, formless, without negation, etc., etc. Hegel pointed out that a reality that has no particular features is just the same as nothing, non-being. So you have to have time for there to be things at all. But again, it just we come right back to the problem of contingency. Supposing there has to be such a thing as time, look at all the different things that could happen in time, all the different ways that the universe could progress in a given time period or in the whole of time. So I'm trying to imagine whether there's some third alternative between necessity and contingency. And it seems like that's impossible. Where do you go from there? Now I had a thought, at least I thought I had a thought when I started, when I decided to make a video today. I thought I had a thought that was some way of wiggling in between these two seemingly absurdities. And I can't quite get hold of it now. But just give me a bit of time. Cigar's gone out. Just stay with me. Firstly, I was going to say you can get all my books for free. I've got this thing going on Amazon. There's 18 books on my list of books from Amazon, and each one is free to download for 5 days. And the current one, I believe, is Ask a Philosopher 1999 to 2001, something like that. There are 3 Ask a Philosopher books, and then there's the Pathways to Philosophy, then Naive Metaphysics, Metaphysics of Meaning, Ethical Dilemmas, etc., etc. The most popular one to date has been my set of stories, science fiction stories, A Better Ray Gun and Other Tales. And that there were over 100 downloads in 2 days. So Amazon have this thing where they allow you to read books online, but when it's free, you can also download it to your Kindle, and you've got it on your Kindle for all time, or your Kindle app. So you can, take it with you. You don't need to connect to the internet, etc. So that's a great deal. And I'm doing this primarily because there are certain countries in the world where it's really very difficult to make a payment. I'm not talking about whether people could afford them or not, because my books aren't very expensive. But there are places where it is really difficult to make a payment online for anything. So if you're patient, you can get my books for free. If you're not patient, well then, they're not too expensive. And they reflect, 40 plus years of thinking about philosophy. There's not a complete consistency because my ideas have developed over time, and some later ideas have contradicted thoughts I had before. But that's the way it is. Bertrand Russell said a philosopher mustn't be afraid of changing his mind or her mind. So, just give me a little bit more time. It's gone out again. This is the thing. You've got to keep these things going. I'm thinking about Gandalf now, before the watching the Mordor, the forces of Mordor approach, and smoking his last pipe weed. I'm going to have to cut it there. So what? Well, my new thought is firstly a negative claim, and also an analogy. The negative claim is this: that we are going along a completely wrong path when we think that there's something we don't know. Because, supposing per impossibile we did know, the question would be, is that it? Is that all there is? So the problem of explaining existence, or explaining my existence, cannot be a problem of knowledge. It's something else. There's not something out there that if we could only grasp it, we would understand. There's nothing out there to understand, because the answer would be, is that all there is? And the analogy is this: imagine something that I'll call objective time. Objective time is not physical time. It's not the time that comes into existence with a Big Bang, but it's rather a time in which there would be multiple Big Bangs, infinite number of Big Bangs. And after each Big Bang, a universe is created, and in that universe there are conscious beings. And every time the Big Bang bangs, the universe tries to understand itself using a different subject of consciousness. All the philosophers who have ever contributed to the Western tradition, all the philosophers who have contributed to the Eastern tradition, over and over and over and over again. And right now, the person, the individual that the universe is using to try to understand itself is me, myself. And I'm not super intelligent by any means. I've got my youngest daughter's way cleverer than me. And I'm sure that if you looked at the intelligence of, I don't know, the average, if there's such a thing, the average academic philosopher, I'm probably around about the median, or even less. I'm a bit dim. I've said this before as well. I'm a bit slow. It takes me decades to come up with a new idea. But it's a way of thinking about it. Objective time, as I've defined it, not physical time, is a series, but it's not really. It can't be a series of events in a particular order, because supposing the universe, with the given set of laws, producing given set of facts, including me making this video today, and I and every single person in the universe moving from one to the next to the next to the next, why would it be in any particular order? Right? There's no reason why I should be me, and then Donald Trump, and then Mother Teresa, and then Plato, or whatever. Supposing I was every single person in the universe, there's no reason why that I would be one in a rather than another in any particular order. So I'm all of them, but not all at once. They have to be separated. So as I said, it's a bit like possible worlds, but possible worlds, if they are actual, each in its own right, have to be separated in some way. So time is just we're using time as a kind of analogy. It's not strictly time as we know it. I mean, I am Mother Teresa, or I was, or I will be. Not, I wasn't Mother Teresa before I was me, before I was Jeffrey Klempner, and I'm not Mother Teresa after I was Jeffrey Klempner. This is the only way to get round the alternative between necessity and contingency. Contingently, the universe comes into existence with this set of laws, producing these set of facts, and within these set of facts, I am one of the people in the universe. And so is Mother Teresa, Donald Trump, Plato, etc. And they are all, I mean, this is a thought that's been expressed before by Alan Watts, they are all it. But not all at once. They have to be separated. I am not anyone else but Jeffrey Klempner right at this moment. And of course you can ask, well, why would the universe, why would there be anything at all? Why would there be this attempting to, to produce a universe, to produce a being that's capable of understanding the universe, etc.? So there's no answer to that. And if there was an answer, then, the response would be, is that it? Is that all there is? You get back to the same point again. But it's progress to realize that pursuing knowledge is not the answer. It isn't something to know. This is just a way of picturing the only possible way that the universe could exist. It's logic. It's a matter of logic. Just as it's a matter of logic that there's such a thing as the empty set, and given that such a thing as the empty set, you've got the whole of mathematics. Amazingly, it's true. Because you can build mathematics from set theory, and all set theory requires is the empty set. And set theory exists in all possible worlds because it's necessary. It's logically necessary. The only problem is, of course, you can't make physical existence from set theory, because set theory is just an abstract object, and physical existence is concrete. So that's, the remaining mystery, how to conceptualize this as the only possible way that there could be anything at all. And I would just say one more thing, that it does seem fantastical if you think of all the possible worlds where there might be a set of laws that might create objects, that might produce subjects of consciousness, and all the possible beings that I could be. It's some huge, huge number. But we mustn't be fazed by big numbers, and I said this in Philosophizer, this idea that the universe is very big is complete rubbish. Size is only relative. We're small or we're big depending on what we're comparing us to. The universe is big compared to us. We're very big compared to electrons or atoms. Universe, what is it? 10 to the 44 meters radius. That's a tiny number. 1,000,000 to the power of 1,000,000 times is a much bigger number. But that's still small compared to infinity. You've got to get rid of those kinds of ideas. Every possible set of laws, every subject of consciousness, multiply it all together, you've got a big number, but it's still small. You haven't even started on the numbers that are too big to even express in any kind of new notation. I think there's something called Graham's number, which is the smallest number that cannot be expressed in any kind of notation. Let that all be. And see what happens. I'm gonna it's gone out again. I'm going to leave you with that thought today. I know this is a rather rambling attempt, but I hear my daughter coming up the stairs, so I think I shall leave it there. Bye.